What is going on, guys? My name is Gis, and I am back at you with another guide here. This is not a beginner's budget guide because we, of course, are at the Gauntlet, where you do not need to bring anything with you except for your best fashionscape, as I have brought with me here. We have, of course, the little infernal for a little orange flare with our little pumpkin mask. This was a Halloween event thing, if you're curious, and this is like the ornate clue gear. I forget what it's called or how you get it, but yeah, you have to bring your best fashionscape to Gauntlet. It's the #1 requirement. Now, we are talking about Corrupted Gauntlet, so I'm going to assume that you have done at least your 1 KC of base Gauntlet, and you just sort of need to know how to manage the prep phase a little bit better, because once you actually get into the Hunllef fight, the time it takes you to kill Hunllef doesn't actually matter, in air quotes. Obviously, the longer you take, the longer it'll be before you get that enhanced crystal weapon seed, which is what I'm assuming most of you are here for. So, what I'm going to have you do as a beginner to start in the Corrupted Gauntlet, unless you are super comfortable, but if you're super comfortable, I imagine you aren't on this guide, I'm going to have you do Tier 2 prep initially, because 1, it's going to familiarize you with the resource gathering loop, and you will take less damage from Hunllef while you are figuring out the fight, because he does do chip damage through prayer. It just is what it is. And if you have Tier 2 armor, I believe it goes from a max of... I'll put it up on the screen here. There's like different max hits for the tier of armor that you have. And Tier 2 is just a little bit tankier, you'll have a little bit more accuracy, blah blah blah. You shouldn't run out of time doing Tier 2 prep. You'll definitely go into like the last minute of the prep phase most of the time, if not every time, doing Tier 2 prep. But I think while you're learning, it's completely fine to do that. But once you are familiar with the Corrupted Gauntlet, you should go ahead and switch over to Tier 1 prep, because those will be way faster, and you'll see that enhanced crystal weapon seed all that much quicker, because you're getting your KCs faster. You're doing, instead of 5 to 6, you'll maybe boost it up to 7 to 8 or something like that, doing Tier 1s. Somewhere in that range. So a couple things before we jump in there and get started. Some plugins that I would like you to have. One of them is just called the Gauntlet. And the reason we take this one is because this tracks our resources for us. And when we jump in there, I'll just show you an example really quick. So when we jump in there, it will pop up with everything that we need right here in our little buff bar, because we need to know what we are collecting, how we are collecting it. And if we, say chopped 5 trees and then dropped it over here, this will still remember that you've chopped 5 trees and tell you that you only need 2 more. So it's pretty good to have this plugin. If you don't want it, that's cool. I get it. Some people don't like plugins, but I really recommend you do that. The other thing it'll do for you is highlight your resources. So it will color the mining spots in red. You can change this one. This one can be a little bit confusing, but since everything in there is red, it's nice to have everything outlined for you so you can actually see it and collect it faster, instead of, squinting at a tree or squinting at an ore and being like, which one is that? Do I need that? I can't even tell what that is. You can just go click it because you know what it is. And when you have this tracker on, if one of these goes down to 0, you've done all your ore, it will stop highlighting that resource for you, so you can just completely ignore it and only focus on the things that are highlighted. Super duper helpful. Highly recommend you getting this and plugging in these numbers. You'll need 7 of each thing. 2 or 3 leaves, depending on how much prayer you go through. Normally 2 is pretty normal. 2 weapon frames. This fish is variable. I think 12 is a good, like, middle ground. I think minimum 8, maximum 16. Like, obviously, if you have time, you can get a full inventory, but you are never, ever going to go through a full inventory of this unless you are missing a lot of prayers. And then crystal shards at 650. I just always overshoot shards because I swear I've been trying to do the Tier 3 prep CA, and it's bothering me. I've done it like 4 times, but I always just don't have enough shards. So going into this guide, I'm going to have you overshoot it a little bit so you don't accidentally not have enough shards at the very end, go into a panic, get frazzled, and then just lose your run because you didn't have enough shards. So the only other optional plugin that you can use, do I still have it? Hunllef Helper. You don't really need this one anymore. All this one does is, when you get into the Hunllef fight, you click start as the attack hits you, and you'll get Perp, the old school RuneScape streamer, in your ear saying 2-1 mage, 2-1 range, and it just sort of keeps track of what you need, what your overhead needs to be during the fight. But you don't need this anymore because this was created before Hunllef had this giant animation and a howl that he does when he switches his attack style, which means you need to switch your overhead. And I will get into that once we get to the actual boss fight. But let me get into what you're actually going to want to do to maximize your prep phase so you don't accidentally miss your timings and lose your run because maybe you didn't get your paddlefish, you didn't get your armor, what have you. So ideally what you're going to want to do in every run is get 2 tier 3 weapons and your tier 2 armor along with your fish. And the order you want to do things in, I'm going to pop up a couple of pictures here to explain the map. So your demi-bosses are always located on the outer center 3 rooms from wherever you spawn. So they could be the southern middle 3, the western middle 3, the northern middle 3, or the eastern middle 3. When you spawn into the gauntlet, I'm going to walk in here again, because you can do this freely. If you want to just jump in and look around, you can do this. This doesn't cost you anything. You just jump in and look at this. So since I spawned on the southern end of the gauntlet, I now know that I need to do a loop that involves this room, this room, this room, this room, and this room. And I'm just going to sprint through this and show you. So you want to light everything. I'm not going to collect anything. I'm just showing you the sort of loop that you want to do, roughly, if you can. Obviously, your resources and your monsters will be variable. You kill the little babies. Once you kill 3 babies, you are guaranteed a weapon frame, but they always have a chance to drop a weapon frame regardless, and you need 2 of them. Your demi-bosses will always drop you a weapon frame. Now, this is the sort of loop that you want to do around your center room, and you can see that we've lit up pretty much everything. I could have gone through this room and lit up this room, but we can do it here, it's fine. So once you light all of these rooms up in this rotation, you should pretty much see every resource that you need. It looks like we might be missing like a mining resource on this layout because we only see one over here. But again, if you're going through and collecting, it's not that big of a deal. So the whole idea with this map is making this loop where you can light up every single room that you see along the way without losing ticks and trying to collect your resources at the same time. So in the full run, you'll see me go through and sort of hit my resource locations as I'm pathing to light up the next room. You always want to make sure you're maximizing your pathing in Gauntlet, because if you don't do that, that's where you're going to miss a lot of ticks. Like, say I go light up this room, and then I turn around and I go light up that room. Maybe I light this room here. I go through and I'm like, oh, wait, there's nothing in here. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go light up this room. Oh, there's really nothing in there. I'm going to go this way now. You're kind of just burning time for no real reason, unless you absolutely have to do that. Sometimes you're in a pinch and you're like, wow, I really need resources and I can't find any. At that point, you're just going to start blitzing rooms to find that last bit of resource that you need. So let's talk about ordering of what you're supposed to do. After you have done your little loop, collected your initial resources, all that kind of stuff, killed your little babies, don't bother killing the big guys until you have your weapon. Once you have that first weapon frame, you're going to come back to the singing bowl, you're going to make yourself a tier 2 weapon, and you're going to go find your demi-boss. Now, the way these demi-bosses work is they will always drop one of their corresponding weapon upgrades. So the dragon will drop the tier 3 staff upgrade, the dark beast will drop the tier 3 bow upgrade, and the bear will drop the tier 3 halberd upgrade. I'm going to recommend that you stick to magic and ranged, because halberd kills can get a little bit wonky. You should eventually learn them, but while you're learning and getting comfortable with CG, just stick to both of the ranged weapons, ranged and magic. Once you can be confident that you'll get Hunllef down, you can try your halberd kills. But the way those demi-bosses work is, say you only see, this has happened to me before, you see 3 bears when you go check your demi rooms on your spawn point. You see 3 bears. That's actually fine. As long as you kill all 3 bears, you can't get duplicate pieces, if that makes sense. So if you kill the first bear, you will get the melee upgrade. But if you kill a second bear, you're either going to get the bowstring or the orb. And if you kill a third bear, you will get the one that you did not get on the previous 2. So don't fret if you see a duplicate boss, just go ahead and kill it. So say you see a dragon first, You kill the dragon, there's no demis next to it. All right, we have to go to the other side. We have to go to the other wall. We see another dragon. Oh no, but we already killed a dragon. It's fine. Go ahead and kill the dragon, take the 50-50. If you get the halberd, it is what it is. That's one of those runs where you sort of want to know how to do halberd kills, but it's not the end of the world. If you do have time, you can try and sprint and find that other demi. Just make sure you're checking all 3 rooms every time you get to a demi boss, so you know whether or not there was a neighbor, because they can have neighbors. They can spawn 3 in a row. It's just random. That's how CG is. So that's the sort of broad overview of CG. So let me break it down into an order of operations to keep you on a path that should get you consistent completions. What you want to do is start with that loop and gather as many resources as you can, but you want to ignore paddlefish until the end. You do not need those while you are going through and collecting resources and getting your upgrades. You can leave those to the very, very last thing. What you're going to want to do is, as you're collecting resources, keep an eye on that tracker that pops up. Because once you hit certain thresholds, let's say you finished your ore, right? You have 7 ore in your inventory. Remember that once you have 7 ore, you can drop that pickaxe and free up an inventory slot. Same thing goes if you get your 7 bark. You can drop that axe and free up the inventory spot. What you ideally want on your first recall, we'll use a little League of Legends term, is 2 vials and your tier 2 weapon. So try to find your tier 2 weapon fairly quickly. Obviously collect your resources along the way, because you shouldn't be under that much time pressure. Once you have your tier 2 weapon, you can go ahead and run at the demi-boss on the outside of the wall. After you get your tier 3 weapon, you have 2 choices. Either you can continue hunting the demis, like check your walls, continue hunting the demis, make sure you get those down, or you can finish your resource gathering. Fill your vials at fishing locations. You do not need to use the sink that's in the middle. You can use the fishing locations that are in the gauntlet itself. Once you have all that and you bring it all back to base, you can go ahead and craft everything up, and then you can go look for your fish. Don't do your fish until the end. That's like the main thing I want to hammer home. Now, as far as Hunllef itself goes, it's really not as complicated as it feels like it is. So all Hunllef is going to do is basic attack you 4 times, and he will always start with ranged. So you're just going to go in there with protect range, and you're just going to look at his overhead prayer and put on whatever weapon is obviously not going to get protected from. Every 4 attacks, he is going to switch his style, signaled by a nice little roar. He's going to howl at the moon and do he's going to get crunk in the living room, and he's going to do a dip. That's your signal to change your overhead prayer. All you have to do from there is pay attention to his overhead and switch your weapon accordingly. It'll be every 6 of your attacks is when you're going to have to switch weapons. Assuming you hit him with the correct style. Keep that in mind. If he's protecting magic and you shoot 2 magic things at him, he's not going to switch. You have to hit him with an opposite style. So every 6 hits on him, he's going to switch. Assuming you are using the opposite style. And they can still be 0s. But you do have to have the bow equipped. Like if he's protecting mage and you shoot a bow at him 6 times, it will then switch over his head. Obviously, avoid the floor tiles. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Don't stand in the floor tiles. You do have a little bit of a grace period before they actually start damaging you. So when they're bright, they're not going to do anything. When they turn orange, they're going to start burning you. As you get further into the fight, and especially when he hits enrage phase, those floor tiles will shift even faster, so you need to move a little bit quicker. A lot of people struggle with tornadoes in particular, and when all of these mechanics layer on top of each other is usually when I see people die. For the tornadoes, you can mark them if you want. I don't personally have them marked, because as long as you're moving 2 tiles at a time, you should be mostly fine. And my method of doing this, it's going to be weird to explain, but I sort of like herd the tornadoes, if that makes sense. So when I see them spawn, I will attempt to move to where they would converge onto a singular point, like at the same distance. It's hard to explain. Basically, if a tornado spawned 3 tiles to my left and to my right, then I am going to just push back towards the wall on the tile that I'm on, because I am already centered between the tornadoes. That's a good way of putting it. I like to try and center myself on the outside of the tornadoes, not in the center of the tornadoes, because if they all converge on you on an X, it does reduce your options at times to move. So you want to try and pull them into a singular location and then start kiting them around. Hopefully I can put a clip up right here of trying to visually show you what I mean when I'm saying that, because I do tend to do it just automatically in this fight. It's something that will sort of come with practice, but at the beginning, if you just need to run around during tornadoes and not shoot attacks, you can do that. It's totally fine. You can use it to heal up and get your prayer up and whatever. Just make sure you're listening. If you don't play with audio, make sure you're looking at Hunllef in your peripheral at least, so you can see when he does the dip thing. I highly recommend playing with audio in this fight. It's a really easy, obvious sound cue. He says wow when he's just attacking you. He'll just be like, wow, wow, wow. And then when he changes style, he'll go, whoa, like that. That's how you can remember it. If he's saying wow, you're chilling. If he goes, whoa, then you need to switch your prayer. That's all you really need to remember for switching your overhead. So during the tornadoes, quick checklist. Try and corral them. Try and, herd them like you're a shepherd and the tornadoes are your flock. Move at least 2 tiles at a time. If you just need to run around, it's totally fine. Find a clear path. In Enrage phase, you're going to have to deal with the floor tiles, but I have tiles marked that I can show you right now to make it a little bit easier for you, because these are considered quote-unquote safe-ish, right? These are safe-ish tiles. So in the middle of the room here, middle-ish, these 2 western tiles, these 2 southern tiles, these 2 eastern tiles, and these 2 northern tiles. The red corners, I can't remember why I marked these. I'm going to be honest. I haven't done Gauntlet in a long time. But I think these might have been for base Gauntlet, to be honest with you. And then these are for Corrupted Gauntlet. I marked these myself. These are not a tile pack as far as I'm concerned. As far as I know. Maybe they are. But you can just jump in here and mark these for yourself. If you need it, there's another angle. But it's pretty self-explanatory. And I think that's really kind of it, other than me commentating over a live run. But that's sort of the audiobook rundown of Gauntlet. I know it's a lot, but once it all settles in, you can pretty much autopilot your CG runs. A lot of people want you to do like max efficiency runs and make sure you can attack a rat and chop a tree at the same time and don't lose all your ticks, because if you lose ticks, you're gonna lose all your time. Don't pressure yourself with that shit at the beginning, okay? Save that for when you know what you're doing. You need to come in here and just get familiar with the content before you try and do all the min-maxy kind of things. Get familiar with it, learn it, figure out what tools you have at your disposal, and then do all the more efficient things and the shortcutty things. Take your time, learn the content, it will benefit you in the long run. Remember, deaths don't cost anything here. It doesn't cost you anything to do this. So try not to get tilted if you're dying a lot, or, you're messing something up, you're not quite getting the prep phase down. Just keep pushing forward. Fail forward. Know why you're missing your time and fail forward, right? Don't just give up. You can 100% do this. I have faith in you. To those of you who are Ironmen with lower stats, do tier 2 preps if you can. It'll help you quite a bit. I think as far as stats go, I think I would recommend like base 85s in that range, 85 range mage defense and HP. Prayer level doesn't really matter. If you have a lower prayer level, maybe somewhere in like the 70s or something like that, you don't quite have the Chambers prayers yet. Maybe you just have your Titans prayers. If you have your Titans prayers, you should be kind of fine. So I highly recommend getting your Titan prayers if you don't have them yet. And then just sort of adjust as needed. If you are lower prayer, make another prayer potion. If you're lower HP, make a little bit more food. If you are fully confident and you don't really, you got it down in like 20 runs, start setting tier 1s. Give yourself a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a time save challenge. Ideally, you do want to get to tier 1s because that is just the way to do this. It's the get in, get out method, and you can 100% do tier 1s. It's completely fine. You'll take a little bit more damage, but it's not like you're going to do much less damage back to Hunllef. So it's just managing your HP a little bit more is all. So let us go into the live run with me commentating what I'm doing over it so we can get more of an idea of what we should be doing in Corrupted Gauntlet. Alrighty, here we go into the run that I did just before I recorded the intro to the video. So I spawn in, I see that I'm on the north side of Hunllef. I just hit the north light because why not? And then I start doing my loop. I see fish in my first room. What am I not gonna do? Click the fish. We don't care about the fish. I see a tree, I'm gonna go to the tree. I see a rock, I'm gonna go to the rock. This is all pretty self-explanatory. If you see the little guys, like you saw me double take to the little guys, I was like, oh, I see little guys right there. I sort of just called an audible in my own head. I was like, well, I have really good resources here, so let me just go ahead and pick up all these resources. And I know that I have little guys there if I need to go get my weapon frame, so I'll just go get those in a second. It didn't really matter which order I did this in, because in the grand scheme of things, I probably lost like 2 seconds. It's not the end of the world. Also, you're going to hear me like one-ticking in the background. You don't need to one-tick flick. You can lazy flick if you want to. You should use prayer regardless. If you're going to camp your prayer during the run, then go ahead and just make an extra prayer potion during the run and you'll be fine. But lazy flicking is completely acceptable. I think I do it later in the run. I just like camp my protection prayer and then flick offensive. Totally fine. So I light up this room to see if there's any resources. Nothing. I just see some big guys. We haven't seen any Linum, so this is kind of a bad run. So I was like, okay, well, I see a bunch of big guys. Let me just go make my weapon. I don't have like great resources yet, but I'm gonna go get my weapon, I'm gonna go get my vials, and I'm gonna be on my merry way to reveal my demi. So I'm gonna put up a little graphic here that sort of shows your default pathing should be. It's gonna look a little bit glonky. I was not attempting to make straight lines. The point I was trying to make is when you go into a room, try to path where you can light up all of the adjacent rooms so you can just see more resources and you don't have to go just frantically hunting at the end. So you want to path in a way where you can light up, I want to say, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rooms or something like that. And if you light up that many rooms, you should be completely fine. You should see all the resources that you will need. I went ahead and killed 2 big guys in this room, and then I just went onto my demi because, you gotta upgrade your weapon. And then what I did was, well, I know that this is the center room, so let me go check the neighbor. Let's see if this demi has any neighbors. Oh, beautiful. There's a neighbor. Now, I could do a halberd run. Very well could do a halberd run here. But I still have 5 minutes left of prep, and all I have to do is mine 4 ores, chop 1 tree, and collect 7 more linen, along with getting an herb somewhere in there. That's not that big of a deal. It might take me, 2 minutes to do that, and then I go get my fish. Takes the last little, minute and a half. Got a little bit lucky here, got 5 paddlefish. That's completely fine. If you want to pick that up, go for it. You only need your 2 weapon frames. I see that I can get another Grim Root, another prayer pot. So I fill up my vials, I grab that, and I light up this room, and I go back to my starter room. Now, you can also see that if I went the other way, I would have had faster access to my weapon frames, but it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. I go over here and I drop my paddlefish, because what are we not doing until last? Our paddlefish. Ignore those things. Just go put them at the stove. Don't even fish them. You don't need to worry about that until last. It's the easiest thing to do. Should have protected melee while I was running through here. I didn't respect little baby guys. That's my bad. But I go back through them, I pick up their shards, and all I'm looking for now is resources. That's kind of it. I still have so much time to find my resources. I can kill a couple more big guys. Like, why not, I guess? I don't even protect here because I'm lazy. It's pretty much the gist of it. I'm just lazy. I protect against the next guy, so I was like, oh, fine, I'll do it properly. But I'm just trying to show you that you don't have to be the most efficient player in the game. It's completely fine. And here's what we were talking about earlier. I do run into a duplicate dragon, but what am I going to do anyway? I'm going to kill it because I know that I have a Corrupted Orb and a Corrupted Spike in my inventory. I have the magic upgrade and the melee upgrade. This is guaranteed to drop me the range upgrade. So now I can crush my Spike for an extra 80 shards if I needed it. I don't, but if I did, I can go ahead and crush it. I do it anyway because why not? It's not serving me any purpose, it's just taking up an inventory slot. Now I see, oh, that was my last bark I needed. I can drop my axe now to free up another space. And I was like, oh, here's a mining slot. Let me go ahead and just make these potions. What am I doing? I can free up 3 more inventory spots if I just make my potions real quick on the way over to this ore deposit. So I go ahead and do that. Make the potions by putting the leaf into the vial of water. You just have to crush some shards to make the tertiary ingredient, and then you're done. I could even drop my pestle and mortar here. Boom. We don't even need that thing. Could have done that way faster. I do still need 4 pieces of linen, but what I'm doing here is I'm looking for 1 more ore, and I get lucky. I do find 1 more ore, because what I wanted to do was get that last ore, drop my pickaxe, and then pick up the last bit of linen that I needed, because I also know that I don't need my crystal scepter anymore. The only thing you need the crystal scepter for is to light up the rooms. Once you know that you have all your resources, you can drop that thing. You don't need it anymore. And so I teleport back to my center room because I know I am done with my resources. So I'm just going to go on a crafting spree. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you want to memorize the actual numbers for everything, you can. I just click. Clicking is just easier for me there. I'm going to go ahead and get my inventory a little bit pre-organized, and now we're going into fish with 1.5 minutes to go, and I have another teleport crystal. Once you go out for your fish, if you know they are very far away, 100% make an extra teleport crystal so you can get back really quick. I was looking around because guess what? I forgot that I dropped 5 fish at the stove. I just forgot. What should I have done? Look at my little tracker. I know that I have hit my threshold. I just haven't run CG in a while. And I was like, man, do I run it on 3 pools? So I checked 1 more room and I was like, oh wait, I dropped my scepter. Whatever, let me just go back home. Could have used my teleport crystal at this point. I should have known. But I was just running around and then I said, I glanced at the center room and it was like, oh, right, I dropped paddlefish. So these things just happen. Whatever, not a big deal. So pick up all the paddlefish, cook it up, and you're good to go from here. I still have 40 seconds left. I could have done so many things so much faster and probably had like 1.5 minutes left. But this is like your average normal human being run that's just kind of chilling out doing some CG. So let's get into the Hunllef fight. You walk in, you protect from range, and you start shooting him. And you'll hear the wows. Remember how I said it's wow and whoa? Wow. Whoa. Wow. This one's a little bit deeper. Whoa. Wow. That's how I like to remember it, just because it's funny. I like to think I'm making him go, whoa. You see how he does that little animation? Tornadoes. I click the back corner of the room because I see those 2 lines. I showed it to you in the intro clip, how I draw lines from the tornadoes to me, and I say, no, I want that line to be here. I want to create the max distance to my character while also converging those tornadoes so I can kite them a little bit more effectively. He turns off your prayer sometimes. You just got to turn it back on. He can only turn off your prayer while he is doing magic attacks. However, he can do that as his magic attack and then switch to ranged. So you do need to be aware that if that is his last attack in magic attack phase and he decides to turn your prayer off, he can then switch to ranged. So you don't want to immediately put protect from magic back on every time. But as like a small rule of thumb, you can put protect magic back on after he turns your prayers off, because he should attack with mage, but he of course can switch to range thereafter, but you would know because he goes, whoa, and you just have to have your audio on and listen. Avoiding the floor tiles is pretty simple. You see me standing on the yellow tiles. That's sort of just how I go about it. Also, he did that to me twice. He turned off my prayers on the last attack of his magic cycle, and so he switched to range, and I was like, man, you're really just trying to make me work for it, huh? When tornadoes spawn, you don't have to freak out. They are going to converge on you by default, and you can sort of figure out where it is you want to move to make them corral into a spot that isn't just going to one-shot you, right? You don't just want to stand there. You want to start moving eventually, like maybe when they're 3 tiles away from you, you can start moving. So you'll see me camping a little bit low HP here. The reason we do this is because we want to maximize our damage. I know that Hunllef cannot hit me for more than, I think it's an 8 in tier 2 armor, but I'm used to tier 1s, so in my head, I'm like, I don't want to go lower than like 14 HP, so that's usually when I eat. And when I do eat, I usually eat like 3 paddlefish, sometimes 4, especially during tornado phase like I'm doing now. I'm running around anyway, I'm probably dropping ticks in the first place. Let me just eat, it's fine. So he just hit me a 10 there. So his max is a 10 in tier 2, must be 8 in tier 3. So keep your HP above 10 at all times if you're doing tier 2s, but just eat it like 15 HP and it's fine. So now we're at Enrage. You see that he's got 4 tornadoes down. I'm just going to keep running him around. You don't get meleeed by Hunllef, but if you go under him, you will get trampled, so keep that in mind. And we're coming to the end of the fight here. Once you deal with the tornadoes, you're kind of just home free. Just pay attention to him saying, wow. And that's all you really have to do in this fight. That's like the biggest deal. Make sure your overhead's right and just get damage where you can. So, final remarks, now that we have sort of gone through most, if not all, of what CG is. Hopefully I can give you the confidence to at least go try it, and the reassurance that you do not need to be perfect, you do not need to do all the min-maxy things, you do not need to get all your prayers right, you don't have to be perfect, nobody is. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to get hit, it's fine, don't worry about it. That's what the food is there for, that's what the prayer potions are there for, that's what the armor is there for. That's the game, welcome to the game. Play the game however you would like to play the game, however you get enjoyment out of the game. I am just here to teach you how to do it, to just experience it. And then you can take the reins from there and decide how advanced you want to get with the content. And if you would like me to release more advanced guides in the future, I can do that. But I think there are plenty of advanced guides out there. You can go to Kirby, No Monkey, Red Eye Jedi, all these dudes that are like, what, Joe Watermelon. Like, they're so good at the game that if you do want to take it to that degree, you can go ahead and go to them. My goal is to bring you into PvM that you wouldn't have otherwise done because you don't have the confidence, or you don't think you have the gear, or, you know, you've been elitist out of it, or whatever reason may have befallen you. I hope I can clear that up and get you into the content that you want to do. CG is tough. Point blank period, CG's tough. If you haven't done PvM before, this is like your first step into some actual PvM that requires everything of you. It requires you to move, it requires you to swap your gear a little bit, and it requires you to react to your prayers, right? To both the opponent prayer and your prayer. So it kind of just brings everything together and makes you do it all in a contained space where there's very low risk. So I really hope you enjoyed this guide. I hope I covered everything. If I missed some stuff, please do go ahead and put it in the comments. If you have some extra tips for anybody that's watching this video, go ahead and put them in the comments, because that's what I want to build here. I want to build a community of people that are learning and figuring things out. I saw in my Toa video, a guy mentioned a thing that I just forgot to mention, that when you stab Baba, she ends, but if you range attack Baba, she doesn't. So if you wanted to, you could just shoot some Bofas up there with your boys and, you know, maximize your DPS. Anything like that that you know about the Corrupted Gauntlet, put it in the comments below. I'll pin anything that I see that's like really good information for somebody to have that I might have missed. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. I do have something really cool cooking up in the background. I hope you stick around and subscribe, because you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a different sort of money-making kind of video. A guide to sort of get you from the mid-game to the end game to the late game, where some people would like to be but don't really know how to get there. I'm going to tell you how to get there. I'm going to tell you all the avenues to get there. So stick around. Hope you enjoy the CG guide. I'm going to stop yapping. My name is Gis. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.